Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I'm the Tome Scourer. I'm back today with another deck tech. I know it's been a long time. It's been a few months, but trying to get back into building some more decks again. And I had this crazy idea. I decided I wanted to build a Cascade deck. But then, as I contemplated what I would put in such a said Cascade deck, I thought of doing something a little bit crazier than that. I decided to go with Yidris Maelstrom Wielder, maybe do some cascading stuff, but I also want to do a few other things. Namely, I want to do a lot of wheels, and I want to do a lot of extra turns. So this whole deck is based around 3 different things, which seems kind of nutty and probably won't work. And it may not. I don't know. If it doesn't work, that's fine. This deck is totally meant to just be fun, do some shenanigans and see what I can get away with, and playing a lot of secret commanders in here, and I'll show you what I mean in just a second. But Yidris, it says it has trample. It's a 5/4. It costs 4 different colors there. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, as you cast spells from your hand this turn, they gain Cascades. We're going to try and cascade a lot, try and ramp up, play some big spells, cascade into some bigger things, take some extra turns, do a lot of wheeling, and yeah, just having some fun. So let's see what we're going to do with this deck. First, we have several different secret commanders in here. All right. The first one is the one that I'm really hoping to actually pull off. I want to get Turgid, the God of Fright, out and just wheel the heck out of my opponents, getting everything that they discard and putting it onto the battlefield under my control. This is my dream. Take a bunch of extra turns, do a ton of wheels, and just take everybody's decks from them. It's probably a horrible idea, but this is just one commander that's hidden in here that can do some crazy things with wheels. All right. We also have Nekasar, the Mind Razor. It says at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. When an opponent draws a card, it deals 1 damage to that player. So when we're wheeling out a lot of opponents, this is going to do a lot of damage to it. Next, we have the Locust God, and basically when our opponents are drawing cards, or whenever we draw cards, we get to make 1/1 blue, a 1/1 blue and red insect creature token with flying, and then when it dies, returns its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So with this, if we're going to be drawing tons of cards with all the wheel effects that we have, we're going to be making a lot of 1/1 flying insect creatures. So be one of our win cons, I suppose. I don't know. Not really a win con in this deck, but ways of making stuff. This one, whenever an opponent draws a card, except for the first one they draw on each of their draw steps, create a 1/1 green snake creature token. So trying to make a bunch of tokens with this guy too. Our next hidden commander is the Scarab God. We want to play this out so that we, when we're wheeling our opponents, we'll be able to exile stuff from their graveyard and put it on the battlefield under control as a 4/4 black zombie that gets all the abilities of the creatures that we basically dig out of their graveyard and put onto the battlefield for us. Next, we have Kess, Dissident Mage, our next commander in this. Kess is here because since we are wheeling, we're going to be discarding a lot of our hands. We want to be able to play some of those spells that we have in our graveyard at least once per turn. So it's kind of nice. Yeah, that can't beat that for a wheels deck. All right. Another one, great for wheels and making some big mana because we want to have some big mana in this deck. We got Kaidel, Chosen of Crufix, and we can tap it and add a colorless mana for each card you've drawn this turn. So if we're wheeling, we're drawing a lot of cards, we're going to add a ton of mana with this thing, right? So all of these cards, they synergize pretty well with the wheeling strategy. And I guess, just choosing, one of these as a commander for a wheel strategy seems kind of boring. Why not just like throw all of these guys in there and just make something cool and see if it works? I don't know. We're going to try it. I have not tested this deck out yet, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. So there's some of our legendary creatures. Now we have some more wheel effects here for our creature wheel effects. We have Jace's Archivist, Magus of the Wheel, Magus of the Jar. We got Dragon Mage. When it deals combat damage, each player discards their hand and draws 7 cards. That's pretty nutty for, it's 7 mana. It's a 5/5 flyer though, but that's a pretty cool effect to have in this deck. Then we have Runehorn Hellkite, so you can exile from your graveyard and basically do a Wheel of Fortune. We have Bone Miser, so whenever you discard a creature card, which we probably will, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Whenever you discard a land, add 2 black mana, and whenever you discard a non-creature, non-land card, draw a card. So since we're going to be discarding stuff, this is going to go really nice in here. Next, we have Notion Thief to try and just kind of screw our opponents when we wheel. We're just going to be drawing those cards instead. Sorry for your luck. We also have Archfiend of Ilfnir. This Ilfnir, I don't know, however you say it. But yeah, this is basically a one-sided board wipe. When we're making our opponents discard their hands, if they have a bunch of creatures out and they discard 5 hands, they're gonna lose a bunch of creatures on that. So next we have Diluvian Primordial. So again, when our opponents are putting stuff in their graveyard, when this comes into play, we're going to be able to cast some spells from their graveyards and exile them. All right, now we have some of our Cascade stuff because we have a Cascade Commander, so we got to do a little bit more Cascade things here. We do have a Verna, another legendary creature, another commander, a lot of legendaries in this deck. So as you cascade, you get to pull a land card from among exiled cards onto the battlefield tapped. So hopefully we'll be cascading a lot, and hopefully this will help us to ramp. Okay, we have Emotely, Celebrated Bounty, and again, big spells in this deck. Spells you cast with converted mana cost 6 or greater have Cascade. So yeah, this is going to go really nice in this deck. Next we have Ethereum Horn, the Sorcerer. Basically just so we can cascade, get it back to our hand, play it again, cascade again, that sort of thing. All right. And then we do have Maelstrom Wanderer. Creatures you control have haste, which is awesome because hopefully we'll be stealing a lot of creatures from our opponents with some of our other stuff. And then it has Cascade when it enters the battlefield. So yeah, cascading twice on an 8 mana card. That's pretty bonkers. Okay. And finally, our last Cascade thing here is Apex Devastator because why not cascade 4 times? Okay, and 2 more creatures left. We have Rashmi, Eternity's Crafters. This is just kind of nice because whenever you cast your first spell each turn, you get to reveal the top card of your library. If it's an online card with converted mana cost less than that spells, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. So it's kind of like an extra, if you get lucky, another sort of cascade effect, I guess. And then we have Consecrated Sphinx, and this is just going to be totally nutty if we're just wheeling people out, and we're going to be drawing a lot of cards with this. When I think about sometimes like how many cards this deck could actually draw, I don't know if I should have like a Thassa's Oracle in here or Lab Man or something. I don't know. Yeah, but if we can draw like a lot of cards in this deck, it's going to go off. All right, next we have our 1 instant in this deck. We don't want to have a lot of instants. Since we are going to be trying to cascade, we're not going to want to have too many instants. It just, you know, the 1 mana instants in this deck are just kind of not really that exciting, I guess. If you cascade into a 1 mana spell, it's kind of like, whatever, or a 2 mana spell. But, you know, we're basically sticking to sorceries in this deck because, again, it's not meant to be competitive. It's meant to be a lot of fun. All right. So only instant is Wheel and Deal. Any number of target opponents each discards his or her hand, draw 7 cards, and you get to draw a card. So making your opponents discard stuff. Our only instant in there. And now we have quite a bit of sorceries. Okay. So here we go. We have a couple tutors. We have Grim Tutor and Demonic Tutor. Just a couple, because if we cascade into these, that's fine. I don't mind cascading into a couple tutors to put stuff into our hand. All right. And then we have our wheel cards. We have Wheel of Fate, Windfall, Dark Deal, Whispering Madness, which I really like a lot because the Cipher thing, you can put this on a creature and then it just keeps making people have a wheel effect. We have Reforge the Soul, so another wheel. And then we have Incendiary Command, which is really nice because if we don't need a wheel at that time, we want to do some other stuff, like we need to deal 4 damage to a player or, you know, something like that. You know, gives us some options. Most of the time we are going to be wheeling with this, but, you know, it's nice to have those options in there. All right, so those are our wheel sorceries. You know, I don't have Wheel of Fortune because I don't have just $300 sitting around to just go out and buy one. So we just have sort of our basic ones there. Next we have our extra turn spells. So a lot of extra turn spells may not be good, but it should be a lot of fun if we can actually pull something off every few games or so, all right? So we have Time Warp, we have Part the Water Veil, and then Temporal Mastery, Alrund's Epiphany, Beacon of Tomorrows, which I really like because you got to shuffle it back into your library after you cast it. If you can like cascade in this, cast this, then cascade off of it, and then shuffle it back into your library, I mean, it's you end up taking like a pretty good amount of turns, right? And then we have Expropriate, very classic extra turn card there. Temporal Trespass, which is nice because it has Delve, and we're going to have a lot of stuff in our graveyard, so Delving will work out pretty good for us. Those are our extra turn spells. And then we do have Treasure Cruise. You know, draw 3 cards is always nice, and we can exile stuff from our graveyard because we're probably going to have some stuff in there. And then we have Emergent Ultimatum, which is just great in this deck because basically I'm going to search up 3 extra turn spells, and I'm going to cast 2 of them if this resolves. I mean, that's basically what we're going to do with this. We're going to take 2 extra turns with this card. Okay. Then we have Rise of the Dark Realm. So if we do get ramped up, we can go and take a bunch of our opponent's stuff. In Garruk's Wake, destroy all creatures you don't control. And then we have Aqueous Forms, our enchantments here. So those were our sorceries, all right? So quite a few, but it's all wheels and extra turns, and then, you know, a board wipe and empty your graveyard and give it all to me kind of stuff. So, yeah, a lot of sorceries, but that's what this deck wants, a lot of big sorceries. Ramping into it, playing those big things, cascading, that's what we want to do. All right. So for our enchantments, we have Aqueous Form, so our commander cannot be blocked. Kind of helps us so that we can get that damage in so that we can cast spells for and then cascade. We have Waste Not, another great wheels spell here. So whenever an opponent discards a creature card, create a 2/2 black zombie. Whenever an opponent discards a land, add 2 blue or black to your mana pool. And then whenever an opponent discards a non-creature, non-land card, you get to draw a card. So yeah, this and Bone Miser together, when everyone's wheeling, these 2 are both out at the same time, we're looking pretty good there. Next, we have Liliana's Caress. So when an opponent discards a card, player loses 2 life. And then we have Ristic Study, so we can get some card draw early on in the game. And then finally, if we can get this thing out there, it would be a miracle. But if we can have an Omniscience and then we're just cascading like every spell that's in our hand after an attack, I mean, it's pretty much game over after that. So if we can actually do that, that would be a lot of fun. All right. And then we have our artifact. So we have, yeah, I know this is a really expensive card, but I have one that I have not had in a deck, so I decided just to put it in here. And we do need to ramp in this deck, so that's why it's here, Mana Crypt. Then we got Lotus Bloom. Really nice to cascade into that. Soul Ring. Arcane Signet, since as a 4-color commander, definitely got to have that. Thought Vessel, in case we do start drawing a lot of those cards, we're going to have no maximum hand size. Felwar Stone for some mana fixing. You know, we got everything but white, so, you know, that's pretty much the colors that most people play in Commander, so this is going to be good for us. Chromatic Lantern to fix our lands. Gilded Lotus. Chromatic Orrery. And that's it for our mana ramp. So we have quite a few ramp artifacts here. You know, they get pretty big, but that's kind of what we want to do, especially if we're going to be cascading with this stuff. These bigger artifacts here, great for Yidris' ability. All right, and then we have Whisper Cell Cloak, because we want our commander to be unblockable, get that damage in. And we have Lightning Greaves. And then finally we have Spellbook. All right, so that's pretty much the deck right there. I do have, you know, kind of not a really good land base, but we just got 3 fetches in here just because I have them sitting around. And we got all the shock lands. We got the Battle Bond lands, and then I do like these new lands from Innistrad that came out, so we have all of those in there as well. We have the check lands, which I think I could probably change these out for something else. I don't know what yet. Kind of just put this deck together, and it's always going to be a work in progress, but the check lands could definitely probably come out. We got the 2 Triomes, Command Tower, Exotic Orchard, Field of the Dead, Reliquary Tower, Fable Passage, and Rogue's Passage, so that we can get help get that commander damage in. All right, and then we got just a few basics here out the back. So that's the deck. Again, it's supposed to be just kind of a fun deck and something that you just play with some friends and see what happens. If you get lucky and you can actually get all this stuff out and play it and start wheeling and taking extra turns, seems like it'd be a lot of fun. Let me know in the comment what you think, if something you would add to it or change to it, or if you think this is just a totally stupid idea and you would never ever play a deck like this. Let me know in the comments, hit that like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.